Hi, my name is Kiran Sethi. I am the founder of the Riverside School in Ahmedabad, India, as well as the founder of a global movement called Design for Change. And today I'd like to kind of just share with you some of the lessons I've learned from this idea of how do we design for change for our children. And I think the first thing that I want to kind of talk about is the idea of love. So much of what we do for our children is prompted or is catalyzed by love. But what does it really mean to love our children? Consider this. In the first 2 years of our children's life on this planet, they go from crawling to sitting to standing to laughing to thinking and telling everybody, look at me, I can. And then what do? We send them to school. Do we love them when we ask them to sit and just listen to us when they are 6 years of age? Or do we show our love for them when they are 10 years, we tell them, no, listen, we will solve your problems for you, you just have to study. Or is it love when we tell them to just worry about themselves and not, be concerned about the other? And then finally, is it love when we tell them that after 18 years of their journey in education, they are only markable and not remarkable? So I think in the last 25 years of this journey about love, I think the one thing I've understood is when we listen to our children, they will tell us what it means to love them. And there are 5 lessons that they have taught me, which I would like to share with you. Lesson number 1, ladies and gentlemen, is contagious is a good word. It's as simple as the idea of a cold. If I have a cold, it's very likely that you're going to get a cold. If I have joy, it's going to be transferred and you're going to be infected with joy. And I think that's really what they were saying, telling us that they wanted us to believe. They were telling us, look at me, listen to me. I am here, notice me. I have a story to say. And they were telling us to repeatedly tell them, yes, you can. Because if we tell them you can, then they will. And to ensure that this I can mindset was not left to chance, we created a very simple 4-step formula to unleash this potential and student agency. We called it FIDS for kids. Feel, imagine, do, and share. And I'd like to show you a small little example of seeing FIDS in action. What you will see is my 5-year-olds. They observed the school gardener, stroke handyman, stroke carpenter, stroke plumber, running around back and forth to get his tools to get the job done. And then they decided that they have to make his life easier. So in this journey of designing a solution, they were of course learning problem solving, creative thinking, collaboration. But the one lesson they were teaching all of us is that age has nothing to do with competency.
The problem was that Sunil Bhai, he likes to do a lot of work, but then he had to run back and forth. Sunil Bhai had to go everywhere.
Then we said, what do we do after we understand? We imagine a preferred scenario. There is the imagine.
We hear each other's ideas so that we can come up with better solutions. First of all, Earth had got the idea that we can make a belt. We were making a jacket. We talked, we will make lots of pockets.
And then you go out and do the action.
We illustrated first how the belt will look. We first cut the sleeves. We stitched, then we cut. Then we sticked only on 3 sides and so it became a pocket.
And then you share it. I think one of the key things that we've learned is we were not sharing. We were just not sharing enough in education.
We talked about with him that why we made this for him, how it will be useful for him.
We were telling he cannot waste his time and his energy.
He was feeling happy because now he didn't have to run all over the place to find the keys. He just had to take it out from his pocket and give it to the person who wants the key.
To have our children have creative confidence is probably the greatest gift you can give them. Lesson number 2, you can't be serious about a hobby. This is what we've told our children again and again and again. And I have to tell you, this word hobby has, I think, been coined by us adults. Because to tell our children there's a distinction between studying and learning and passion and hobbies and interests. And it has nothing to do with who they are. And repeatedly we kind of give value propositions for what is important and what is not. And so very often we tell our children that what they love doing is not important and is not worthy of a passion. I like to share with you one example. I remember a couple of years ago, a wonderful, bright, lovely young girl had come for admission, and I had the opportunity to speak with her. And I asked her, she seemed to be talking all the right things. Okay, she was telling me she liked her physics and her math, and I just kind of asked her, I said, what is it that you really love doing? And her face lit up when she said, I love dancing. And then it just fell literally in the next minute and said, but that's not serious, right? I can't do a profession from that. And my heart broke. And I was thinking to myself, how often we diminish our children's love for what they do, and their hearts shrivel into, in size because of what we keep telling them. So I think the one thing that I have learned is that if we really love our children and we really want them to find purpose and be happy, we have to embrace all their passions with compassion. Lesson number 3, listen, listen, listen instead of tell, tell, tell. I think this is a lesson that we adults find very difficult to manage, because we love giving advice. We love giving our wisdom and our experience all in this garb of, because we love you. You must listen to us, otherwise you will not be able to find your way out of this maze called life. And I think the one lesson that I learned very quickly on is that really loving our children is about listening to them. Not just listening to the words they say, but listening to the light in their eyes, to the shift in their body, the way how they move when they're telling us something, and especially listen to the silences. That is when they will tell their biggest story. So the greatest lesson I have learned that when we really listen to who they are, we will be informed about what and how to respond to them. Lesson number 4, I think one of the lessons that we've all succumbed to is that marks does not equal passion. I think for the longest time in education, this myth that your academic marks or your grade will give you your identity has consumed all logic. I don't think there has been a greater lie that we have told our children. And I have to tell you my own experience. I remember when I was in college, in school, unfortunately, I was a topper. And that meant that I never knew that I was not good in math. I was never told that. So I remember going to my first year in college and sitting through an entire year of torment and trigonometry, not knowing that I had chosen based on a very false understanding of who I was. Thankfully, I was able to finally find my passion in design. But I remember thinking to myself, what a pity. Had I not listened to my heart, had somebody not given me the right understanding of who I am, I would have lived through my life with a completely wrong understanding. I think the lesson our children were telling us, if you say you love me, if you say you want me to be happy, then how can you reduce my entire identity into one grade? I'm so much more. I can be a friend, I can be a daughter, I can be an ornithologist, I can be all of it. So I think when we really love our children, our promise to them is that they are not just markable, they are remarkable. And the final lesson that our children tell us about what it means to love them is that we must practice what we preach. And here I'd like to start with a little anecdote from Gandhiji's life. Many years ago, when he was in the ashram, there was once a mother who'd brought her son to Gandhiji and said, Gandhiji, please tell him to stop eating sweets. So Gandhiji told her that, yes, I think this is a very good point, but please come back and meet me after a month. So, and she lived in a village, and so she had to go all the way back. And then a month later, she comes back with her son and says, now Gandhiji, will you please tell him? And he says, this eating sweets is not very good, you must not do that, etc. And then she was very perplexed, and she said, Gandhiji, why didn't you tell him this a month ago? Why did you get me back an entire month? He said, I had to first stop eating sweets myself. And I think this is at the heart of what it means to model the idea of belief, to model the idea that we're not asking you to practice what we preach, but we have to role model and be those examples of what it means to love our children. All of us know that our young children learn by imitating what they see. We've all heard about the mirror neurons. We've all heard about the fact that young children are more likely to imitate behaviors and value propositions of the people around us. So what is worth imitating? I mean, whilst I think maybe you might say a teacher needs a PhD to teach chemistry, but I don't think we need any training to just smile. I keep saying our body is a living curriculum. If we smile, if we hug, if we listen, these superpowers are really worth imitating. We have to live out those lives that our children can mimic well. So I think the one thing about truly loving our children is to be worthy of being imitated. So in conclusion, these 5 lessons have really been our guiding principles, our moral compass. And whenever we're in doubt, we go back to the child.